Yeah, welcome to my talk about experiences with composable frontends. My name is Miriam Müller. I'm a senior PHP developer and I'm working at Zeitgeist in Hamburg, Winterhude. I'm a backend developer, but I'm a backend developer in love with composable frontends. And I work on Shopware projects since 2015. I think it was version 4.5 or 4.6. Yeah, let's have a look at my agenda for today. For those of you who weren't at the Boost Day last year, I talked about our first projects with composable frontends, and I will give you a short recap of this talk because of some of my topics are based on this talk last year. And for you, in the end of my talk, I will share a QR code with you where you can download the slides from today and also the video and the slides from the Boost Day last year. So after the talk, everything is ready and you can download it. Yeah, and after a short recap of the Boost Day, I will show you how we integrated Storybook in our composable frontends projects. Afterwards, how we extended the new API client with our own custom API endpoints. Yeah, and in the end, I will give you a brief insight how easily you can integrate the new B2B components into your composable frontends project. Yeah, so let's start with a recap of the Boost Day last year. Last year, I talked about why we decided to try composable frontends in our projects. In some of our complex projects, we had big issues with the Twig storefront. We decided to try composable frontends because, yeah, our biggest pain points was the more the layout was different from the Twig storefront template, the more problems we got regarding template overrides and especially style sheet overrides after some project time. The more we changed in the Twig storefront, the more issues we got with all the style sheets. And our front-end developers was very frustrated because they all the day was dealing around with style sheets, overrides, and yeah, the result was not that was what our UX and UI designers expected. So they was also very frustrated. So yeah, we tried to use composable frontends to get a better output from our project. The project template over some time was very difficult to control because when we changed one thing here, one other thing crashed in the other end. And so it was also very intense for the customer. Yeah. So we tried composable frontends for one of our projects, and in this case, we also decided to change our complete design and developing process to component-based development. So we developed components and design systems already in the UX/UI concept and in the front end afterward. And we strictly separated UI components from the integration into Shopware. Yeah, and which benefits do we achieve out of this? We had no restrictions anymore regarding the existing template. We had a clean, independent component implementation and better control over changes over the project time. And the most important point was we had free choice of technology in the front end. So our front-end developers was very happy that they could use Vue and Tailwind for front-end development. And another good point was because the separation between UI components and integration in Shopware, it is not necessary anymore to know anything about Shopware to implement UI components. And we had the possibility to integrate other developers from our other teams who does not know anything about Shopware. And we could also outsource the UI components to a complete different team. Okay, so to enhance this project, to enhance our component-based workflow, we then decided to integrate Storybook. So what is Storybook? Storybook is an open source tool where you can develop UI components completely in isolation. It enables you to develop, test, and document UI components independently without any Shopware or other application integration. And it's some kind of living style guide for your components. Let me show you how you can integrate Storybook into a composable frontends project which is based on the Nuxt 3 demo template. The only thing you have to do is to add the Nuxt module for Storybook. And after that, you can run the initialization of Storybook Nuxt, and everything will be set up for you. Every configuration for Nuxt and also the configuration for Storybook. You can edit afterwards, but initially everything is set up for you. It's only 2 commands and you're ready to run Storybook. After that, you can, on your local dev, you can run your composable frontends project, and Storybook will automatically start with your project, and it's available on port 6006. You can change the port, but in default it's 6006. And if you like, you can also activate the Nuxt DevTools, and Storybook will also be available inside your DevTools. So here you can see a screenshot of Storybook. Here's as an example, it's a select component. And you can also see we are developing all the small components inside of Storybook without any Shopware, and it's all the small components, and we go further with header, footer, and bigger components, but it's only UI components without any integration. And inside of Storybook, you can test the various settings of your component. There you have the controls, and you can test if it's a small version, the light version, different settings from your component. And you also have the ability to use different viewports and different focus state and active state. You can simulate everything inside here. And I think in the new version, there's also possibilities to automate all the testing inside of Storybook. But we did not try it yet, but I think in one of our next projects we'll also check if we can use the automated test. So we are doing everything ready inside of Storybook, and after that we first start with the implementation into our Shopware composable frontends project. So what was our result out of that? We had the ability to develop the UI components in isolation without dependencies to Shopware. So we can start UI component development and without having any Shopware running. And the result is also we will get independent and testable components, and also documented component library as overview for all project members, for the developers, for the project managers, and also for the customers. You have a good overview which components are available in the project and can be reused, and you are not developing one component 2 times. So my next topic is the new API client inside the composable package. Before the new API client, the old API client was a static API client and only available for the store API. And the new API client is dynamically generated, a TypeScript API client based on the OpenAPI documentation. And all store and admin API endpoints will be available as TypeScript types if you write OpenAPI documentation. And I will show you how you can update the API client with your own API point. In default, all the Shopware API points with API documentation are available, and if you create an own API point, you have to generate the API client new. So first you have to do, you have to update all your plugins with API endpoints for Store API and also for Admin API, and create the OpenAPI documentation. If you use this folder structure you can see here, all the files will be read automatically, so you have nothing to do, you have only to create the JSON files in this folder structure for Store API and for Admin API. This is an example how small API documentation looks like. You have to define an ID. Here it's like read contracts, and you have to define the responses, the request body, and so on, and the types in the response. And this will be automatically read. So if you're ready with your plugins, you can go to your front-end project, and there you have to create an end file with some parameters. It's a JSON URL, this is the URL of your sales channel, and the access key, this is the access key of your sales channel, and then admin username and password of an admin user. The access key is necessary for the Store API, and admin username and password is necessary for the Admin API, but it's optional. If you only want to generate the Store API, then you don't need admin username and password in this file. Okay, if that's ready, there's a load schema command inside the API gen package, which you can call. And you have to say which API type you want to generate. It's store or admin for the store or the admin API. And the second parameter is the file name of the file, for your local file of the API documentation. Okay. If you have downloaded this file, then you can use the generate command. This has one parameter, it's a file name of the file from your local system. And this will generate all the TypeScript types for your whole Shopware, so everything which is available as OpenAPI documentation will be available. So also if you had OpenAPI documentation for your own plugins, it will read and generate it automatically. The last step you have to do is to change the import of the generated types in default, it's loaded from the API client package, and if you have own endpoints, you have to include your local file of the API client, and you have only to change import, even storefront or admin API, and this is the file name you downloaded. Okay, so that saved us a lot of time to use this automatic generation. So what else is possible with the new API client? As I said, the old API client only had the store API available, and the new also has the admin API available. And we had a project where the customer wanted to connect the shop with the order management tool, and they chose to use an AWS Lambda function with Node.js. So we thought about, why not use the API client for that? And we integrated the API client to this AWS Lambda function, and we could directly use the admin API of Shopware without dealing around with the response JSON of Shopware. It's not that easy to explain to people who are not familiar with Shopware. So it's easier to use ready TypeScript objects. And what can we think about? In one of our next projects, we will integrate Shopware to an existing NEOS CMS website, and also there we will use the API client to save time. That's all for the API client. It's easy to extend. So my last topic for today are the B2B components. In our current project, we had to integrate the B2B components. We used the B2B employee management. And the good thing is all modules of the B2B components are available as store API already. And they have an open API documentation, and it is included in the API client package, the types. So you don't need to generate your API client if you want to use a B2B components. They are already available in the package. So the only thing you have to do, you have to write your own composables for the integration in your application. One module of the B2B components, it's the B2B quote management. This module is also available as composables in the composables package. So this is ready to use directly, but all other modules only have TypeScript types, and you have to create your own composables, but it's not that complicated to create composables for this TypeScript types. Let me show you how. You have to create a composable. Here as example is the load function of the B2B employees entity. You can see here's the read employees, post employee, and the parameters. This is from the TypeScript types. And also the create, update, and delete functions for your entity. It's only one line of code and you're ready. So this is all, and you can use the entity inside your project as TypeScript types. Okay. So what I want you to take away from my talk today, use Storybook or something similar for independent and testable components. Think API first in your plugins. Create API endpoints for store and for admin API endpoints. and write open API documentation because it's necessary to use it in headless projects. So thank you. You can download the talk with the QR code if you like. And you can also write me an email, contact me on LinkedIn, or talk to me today or tomorrow. I'm also here tomorrow if you have questions for me. So thank you.
Hey, now we have a Q&A. Miriam, thank you for your talk. And I hope you accumulated some questions for us. If not, I won't hate you, but there are questions. That's good. So the question, if I need to... Okay, the microphone boys. Yes, there are the microphone boys.
Hi, thank you very much for your talk. Very nice. Do you have experience with using Composable inside the default Shopware theme? So mixing?
So inside the default theme, that's an interesting combination. So you would be using the default theme of Shopware and then replace parts of it with composable front ends, right?
Yes. No, we separate projects between composable front end project and Twig project. So we have no mix of both. In the beginning of the project, we decide, is the project complex? So then we choose composable front ends, and if it's not so complex, we use a default Twig template.
Okay, thank you. So anyone else wants to know anything about Shopware composable front ends? Yes, there in the front, there's someone, and yes, Telgi is running. Awesome. So you will be next, I guess.
Hi, thank you for your talk. One question regarding components. Obviously, we all developers, we like components. How do you get the message across to marketing and your designers? How do you get them to think in components? Because I can imagine sometimes it's a struggle.
No, our designers, before we started developing components, they already used components inside of their Figma layouts. So I think the trigger was more the UX UI designers than us. So it was the way around. And so yeah, they use it, and it's easier for them.
To teach your team of UX designers first that components are awesome, then they start thinking in components, and then you come after and say, oh, interesting components, yes, let's look into this. So the sneaky way around. Awesome. Great, thank you. So we had a question here in the front, yes.
So hello? Is it really necessary to write the entire JSON by yourself? Isn't that auto-generated from the entity definition and the annotations of the controllers?
Not for the storefront API.
Well, that was quick. No. Of course, you are invited to build a tool for that and tell me.
You have custom operations in the front end often. For the admin API, it's only create, delete, and update, but in the front end, you have different operations you want as API endpoint, and yeah, you have to define them.
So it's just because the storefront is so custom that it doesn't make sense to auto-generate. Okay.
I think maybe it's possible, but I don't know.
You don't need it. You don't need it. Okay.
We write the JSON files. So.
You like writing JSON? I mean, I don't judge.
No.
I don't judge. I did it myself sometimes. Okay. Any other questions from someone? Yes, we have a question right here, bang in the middle. I don't see you guys in the back that well, so Telgi, yeah.
Thank you for the talk. How hard and how much time do you need for migration from storefront to composable frontends?
Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. So
you didn't migrate.
At the moment, no. At the moment, we have projects which directly starts with composable frontends.
Yeah.
So, but if you have to do that, it's like developing new, I think. because it's completely different.
Okay, so I know from some of your stories from the community that people do this, like transferring a shop from the default storefront to Composable. And they do actually, the other question was like, how do you integrate both? And they do it like that, so they replace it bit by bit, but I don't know how. Luckily, you're all here, so if you meet someone with composable front ends, maybe they can explain it to you. I'm just here to talk. Okay, and the time I see is up, if I get this correctly. So you will be around, so if you have any more questions surrounding composable front ends, ask Miriam. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.